My name is Audrey Lecker from hustle-blog.com, and you're listening to Bob Nolly and the Labrador Leadership Podcast.
Sweet.
Live from the RVA, this is the Labrador Leadership Podcast with Dr. Bob Nolly. The program that brings you the leadership skills that can make you the most authentic, approachable leader for the sake of your business, your team, and for you. Now, here's Bob.
Welcome back. Hey, no shoving. There are plenty of seats. Yeah, we have company today. Everybody behave. How are you? Yes, I know these are tough times. And as we say at the end of every episode, take care of each other, and you all seem to be doing it. So that's good. Let's introduce our company today. I met this woman as an academic colleague, and she has just been a light that I've followed for some time now, and here's why. We have always talked in the leadership space about selection and interviewing and people that write on their resumes at the top line, excellent verbal and written communication skills. And we've talked about how lots of times that's not true. Our guest today is committed to making everybody's writing better. And what more noble cause could you have than that? Please welcome to the program, Dr. Gail Summerskill. Gail, how are you?
I am great, trying to stay safe as everybody else is listening to this.
Well, that's good. And I guess I should have introduced you as well as soon-to-be Amazon best-selling author, because you got a new book out, and it's called Writing with Sofie. Tell us about the book.
Yes, it's the Writing with Sofie ebook series, and the first book in the series is called Yes, You Can Write an Essay, Blog, or Article, and it'll drop in a pre-launch in Amazon shortly, and it is already up on Apple Books.
Well, congrats to that. That's a big deal. I mean, for a writer such as yourself, you've been in writing for decades, I'll just say. A long time. It's been the love of your life, perhaps. That's not a person.
That's true. I have spent my lifetime teaching writing and communications and taken the now I get it moments from my students to help them start and finish writing that they're proud to share.
There are some things in your book, and you were kind enough to share a draft with me, and I loved reading it. Yeah, and let me explain why, just so you can understand. I came from a household where my dad was in advertising and public relations, and he had the sharpest blue pencil, that's an editing term for those of you that aren't aware, of anyone I ever knew. And I'd come home with papers written on that broad-lined grade school paper, and he'd mark it up and go, actually, I think you have a better opportunity here to do this. So at his 90th birthday recently, I'm fortunate enough he's still with us, I gave a toast, and one of the things I thanked him for was taking care and wanting to be concerned with every single word I put to paper. It's kind of a lost art. It's kind of a lost art, I thought. And the work you're doing, not only through teaching, but now through this book, is trying to correct that, or trying to be a place for writers to go. Because I know you and I probably, in the academic sense, we see students that go, oh my gosh, there's some work to be done here. And you've developed something to help them.
Well, thanks. And that's true. And you're lucky to have had a dad like that. And in the acknowledgments in my book, I mention my 3 kids, and I say, thank you for putting up with me correcting you and all your friends writing and speaking through the years. But I think that you mentioned something key here, Bob, which is that if you have a parent or someone who writes well and cares about writing, you grow up in an environment able to improve your writing. If that is not the case, then what might happen is you go to a school, and particularly English teachers, they love to read, but they're not really trained in the teaching of writing. So they don't really understand often why their students don't write well. And so they'll bloody them up with red ink, their writings, and they make all these comments which are taken in by someone as negative, like, oh no, I'm terrible at this, I cannot do it. And what I've found over the years that learning to write well is a combination of two major factors. It's learning an easy approach to the writing steps, the process of writing, and equally important is having the growth mindset, which means I'm not here yet, but with practice, I can get there. Those two things go hand in hand, and most students don't get the opportunity to be in an environment where they're given both of those so that, yes, they can write well. And that's what my ebook series and this book does.
That's a great discussion of the growth mindset, and it's so important. There's some things in the book here that really resonated with me personally, and one was your point about passion, how it was important for a writer to bring their passion to their work. Can you light that match for somebody, or do they have to bring it to the table?
Well, when you're writing and you hate writing, the word passion doesn't seem anything remotely possible to
No,
do.
it doesn't.
And so it's kind of like when they say in the movie Came to Believe, you have to believe that you can find it and you can evoke a sense of passion. So let me give you an example. And I give this example in my book, which is that you're in a class and you have to write a paper about Walmart. You're in a business class. And you really don't care about Walmart, except for it's a great place to get your goods. And particularly now, it's really an important store. But you think to yourself, I can't possibly write a paper about Walmart. But maybe you are someone who really has passion around customer service, that when you're on a phone call trying to get something worked out and you don't have good customer service, or you go in a store and nobody can help you find something, that really incites you and it makes you angry. That's a kind of passion that you can evoke for this assignment in Walmart. See if you can take the angle of the customer service of Walmart because you care about customer service and write about that. Typically, there is something, if you just bother to think about digging deep to find something you care about within a topic. And then if it's an assignment where you have an instructor, ask the instructor, may I take this angle on it? Sometimes you can't. And then you just have to say to yourself, okay, what's more important, doing well on this and deciding I will follow the writing steps, I'll do what I need to do to get it done well, or to blow it off and say, I'm not going to find any way to get through this and I'm not going to do well.
I'm so grateful to you for chapter 1. In chapter 1, you say, follow the directions. That falls in line with me. About half of being successful in life is showing up. And it's just following the directions, because as we find in the classroom now, there's always a rubric. There's a rule set of, when I read your paper, here is what I'm looking for. And I'm looking at this little grid of requirements as I read your paper. So don't miss anything. And I think people write lots of times and the trajectory, and they're going, oh my Lord, I have my hands on the keyboard, here I go. And they start talking about something else or find an article that really doesn't answer the question. And I got a C-. Why did I get a C-?
Correct. And I find that whether you're in school or in your work life, that there are rules and guidelines. And if you're not certain about them, you ask whoever's in charge about them. But that's one of the things that I start very deliberately with, follow the directions. And I highly recommend that people open up a document and they just copy and paste the directions at the top of the page so they're constantly reminded about it. And one of the things that I want to say here, Bob, I should have probably mentioned in the beginning, that another extremely unique and powerful feature of my ebooks is that they are linked to videos that I've created with my star student, Sofie.
Yes, who is Sofie? Who is Sofie?
Oh, Sofie is incredible. She's very shy, not very talkative, but boastful woman who is really someone who hates to write, but I force her to do it. And I'm not going to go into specifics about her because you have to buy the ebook or go to my website, writingwithsofie.com is the website, and that's Sofie, Sofie, to see who she is. She represents you, the listeners here who want to write well, but don't really like it or think that you're terrible at it. She is you. And she's a manifestation of all the students I've spent my lifetime teaching, middle school through lifelong learners. I've taught middle school, high school, community college, graduate school, and I still advise a lot of people who are in the workforce or just want to learn to improve their writing.
And she's a charming young lady. So, folks, when you buy the book, you'll really enjoy meeting Sofie. She's quite the conversationalist. I'll just say
she is. She's got a great sense of humor too. So that's another thing. Learning to write well doesn't have to be hateful. It really can be fun if you have the right steps and a process to do it, as well as constant reminders that it's going to get better, which is what the book has. And then there are 23 videos linked throughout this book, so that if you're reading along, let's say you're reading the section on thesis and you think, oh, I just don't get it. You just click on the word thesis, which is underlined because it's hyperlinked, and it takes you to a Sofie video that helps explain it in a very short, visual, auditory way, so that those of you who are not the world's best with reading text and understanding it, you have other learning strategies there to help you improve your writing.
So in these times where, let's step out of the classroom for just a moment, in these times when part of the advice for dealing with the stress of the corona world is to find something you enjoy to do, go find that hobby, go find that thing you want to do and spend some time with that, because logically you should have a bit more time right now. And I know a lot of people say, I like to write a book, whether that means a nonfiction work about their area of expertise or the great American novel or just a nice short story. What is your advice to them to get started?
Well, again, buy my ebook, because I give you a lot of suggestions in that book about how to get started. But in fact, there's a chapter on that has a video in it called Nike Moment. Just do it. So if you want to write, the only way to write is to sit down and do it. So either you schedule some writing time, or one piece of advice I can give you is to make a decision to write 500 words a day. That's how I wrote this book. You'd be surprised. A page is typically 300 words. So you're looking at 2 pages of writing. It doesn't take as long as you think. And when you sit down to write, you're not writing the bestseller on the first go round. You're just getting something down so you can see what you have. You can edit it and work on it later. The other thing is on the section in my book about strategies to help you get started, there's a suggestion in a little video. Just do a 5-minute timed writing. If you're afraid of writing, just set a timer for 5 minutes. You'll be amazed how much you can write down in 5 minutes. And if you start to think, I hate this, even just write this down. This is just crap. I hate this, whatever. But eventually you get to your topic. I think that this is a marvelous time. Many people are in social media right now, and you can turn into an influencer if you're writing good posts. They don't have to be that long, can be a few sentences, but if they're thoughtful and beautiful, you can start to really build your own brand or share your ideas. And again, this book really will help you even with that. It's not coincidental that the title is essay, blog, or article, and you could also say post there too. It's a matter of learning the basics and then expanding them to the genre or type you're trying to do.
That's great advice. Setting aside time, I think, is so key. And then I never forgot the movie Finding Forrester, where Sean Connery is playing E.M. Forrester, and he's sitting there at the typewriter, and he just gives the advice, writers write. So you have to put your hand on the keyboard and write, and finding yourself some space to do that. People are going to be very interested, if they're not already, in finding out more about you and your work in future books. What's the best way for them to find you?
Well, there's multiple sources. First, I would recommend that you subscribe to my email list, which is writingwithsofie.com. And that is the word writing with Sofie, Sofie. Then you'll get the announcement on promotions, free gifts, next books, next steps. On that website, you'll see on the home page the icons. You can just click on them. I am in Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I'll soon to be expanding those, but those are the main ones right now.
Everywhere in the social sphere. The name of the book is Writing with Sofie. Our guest today, Dr. Gail Summerskill. Gail, congratulations on the launch. Congratulations. It's a wonderful piece of work. And as I always mention, you are now promoted to co-host, so come back anytime and we could talk more about this critical skill.
Thanks so much, Bob. It's wonderful to be here in the RVA with Bob Nolly on Labrador leadership.
Thanks for listening to the Labrador Leadership Podcast. For the sake of all the special people in your life that deserve you to be the best leader you can be. Connect with us on our website at LabradorLeadership.com, on Facebook at Labrador Leadership, and on Twitter at Lab Leadership. Now, here's a final thought from Bob.
Once again, thanks to our guest, Dr. Gail Summerskill, for being here. Her book is Writing with Sofie, so please check that out. Writing with Sofie with an F. Folks, the deal is still this. Take care of each other. Keep listening. Thank you for being here today. We'll see you next time.